1918, after the United States had entered World War I, President Wilson insisted the U.S. go into a temporary wartime prohibition to save on grain for food production. But later that same year, the Congress submitted the 18th Amendment for ratification. This 18th Amendment banned the transportation, production, and sales of intoxicating liquors. The Congress put a 7-year stipulation on the ratification process, but the amendment received the necessary support from the 75% of U.S. states in only 11 months. The amendment was ratified on January 29, 1919. The prohibition reduced the amount of alcohol consumption by 30%, and for a while, it reduced the amount of alcohol-related crimes too. On February 14, 1929, 7 members of Moran's gang was going to meet up at what they believed was an alcohol deal. Bugs, the leader of the gang, was running late. The 7 men arrived at the SMC Cartage Company warehouse on 2122 North Clark Street. They waited for their shipment there. Bugs was on his way now, and right as he was getting ready to walk into the warehouse, he spotted some cops. The sight of cops made Bugs nervous, so he hung back and waited at a nearby coffee shop as he kept an eye on the warehouse. Little did they know those policemen weren't part of the police force at all, but actually members of Al Capone's Southside gang. The policemen, or actually Al Capone's gang men, acted as if it were a police raid once they were inside the warehouse. So, to save some grief, Bugs' men cooperated with them by disarming themselves and lining up against a wall. Next, there were 6 dead men on the floor and 1 survivor with over 20 bullet wounds. He was taken to a nearby hospital but passed away 3 hours later. Nobody knew what had happened, for Al Capone was in Florida at the time of the shooting, but Mr. Capone was always good with alibis. A few days after the shooting, the real cops found a stripped-down and burned Cadillac. This was believed to be the escape car. A while after, men on both Capone's and Moran's gang were shot. Later, the prohibition ended. Gang violence and crime reduced significantly. Because bootlegging was no longer a needed business, the gang...
Look, I know this guy, and I'm telling you, a leopard don't change his stripes.
You mean spots?
I mean snaps!